Hello, everyone. It's been a while, but I've saved something quite special for you this time because I'm talking about a band that, as of today, is one of those acts I most frequently listen to. And the funny thing is, I never put them on a pedestal and promoted them as aggressively as I might have done with some of my favorite acts in the past. The band I'm talking about just slowly crept into my listening habits during the past decade, and it's called Breaking Benjamin, a band from the United States. The band surfaced during the nu metal wave of the early 2000s and failed to become a big name in Europe due to quite a bizarre reason, one could say. Their singer, Benjamin Burnley, who's also the songwriter of the band, he's suffering from a very serious fear of flying. So they never did any extensive tours in Europe because he just, didn't dare to cross the ocean via plane. But let's talk about the band. Let's talk about the music. Breaking Benjamin play modern hard rock with, one can really say, epic melodies. And as I told you before, epic melodies only work if you have a really strong voice to carry them. And Benjamin Burnley, in all honesty, from my perspective, is one of the best rock singers of this day and age. Why is that? Well, first of all, he has a very distinctive voice, so you recognize him early on. And the interesting thing about him is that he can sound both boyish and punky, and he can also sound like a melodramatic pop singer from the 80s with a super smooth intonation that is reminiscent of acts such as Cutting Crew. So he has it all. He can express himself in various ways, and it's just impressive what he can pull off with his voice. He even belts out the occasional metalcore screams that are so typical of the nu metal influenced modern hard rock from the United States. I will recommend the album We Are Not Alone from the year 2004, but I want you to know that the most melodic and most successful Breaking Benjamin albums are Phobia from 2006 with their massive hit single The Diary of Jane, and the album Dear Agony from the year 2009, which includes the hit single I Will Not Bow. These two albums are more melodic, they are catchier, and they are maybe more mature, one can say. The Breaking Benjamin DNA is super visible, or more audible, one could say, on these albums, and that is really, that was the point in time when they refined their sound to the maximum. But these two albums are also very similar sounding. So you have to imagine a basic sound that is composed out of nu metal riffs, down-tuned guitars, and that is very typical of Breaking Benjamin, some delay effects on the clean guitars that remind a little bit of U2, which of course I find gorgeous that they have these U2 reminiscence. So they made a very winning combination with these sort of elements which they all mix together. But like I said, this is a very well working formula that they used on Phobia and and Dear Agony. But they did it to the max, and one could even say to the extreme. And artistically, these two albums aren't exactly exciting. They're beautifully composed, they're fun to listen to, but the more interesting and diverse record is their second output from the year 2004, and that album is called We Are Not Alone, like I said, and this is the album I want to recommend here, and I want to go into why that is. So like I said, it's not as polished as the other albums, it's not as sugar-coated in the production. It's more edgy and has a bit more of like garage rock elements, one could say. You can really feel the organic vibe. It's also less mid-tempo centered, so you have faster songs, slower songs. It's more diverse in that sense as well, rhythmically. And most importantly, Ben Burnley, sings just as beautifully as ever. So he's been that great of a singer right from the start. So everything I said about the magnificence of his vocals can basically be heard on that album as well. On We Are Not Alone, the band sounds like a mixture of post-grunge, because some guitar parts and guitar sounds definitely point quite directly to Nirvana and such, and new metal. So the guitar parts set it off a little bit from this, style that they refined later on. But there is one song that basically shows or foreshadows, one could say, the style which would become so prominent on their albums, the very essence of Breaking Benjamin. The song is called So Cold, which they also shot a quite atmospheric video for. It's a heavy melodic anthem that, like I said, shows what the band would still turn into later and repeat over and over, one have to say, where soaring 80s pop vocals burst into angry screams and massive crunchy guitars bury the guitar sounds that pointed to U2 in the beginning. So it's all there, but it's not only that. They also have songs on that album that are less polished and, like I said, have this garage post-grunge influence in there, such as Follow, a song which is an energetic, super melodic rock song with an extremely catchy chorus, so I'll listen to that one for sure. I can't get it out of my head, to be honest. A song called Firefly, which is more new metal inspired, but also super melodic. And then there are some soft tunes like Forget It and Rain, which come across as basically pop songs without any distorted guitars. So what I can say is that the scale of sound which Breaking Benjamin showed on that album is much bigger than what they showed before or after that record. So you can pick single songs. They're probably the best songs, like the most beautifully composed songs from later albums, from Dark Before Dawn, from Phobia, from Dear Agony, and from their latest output, Ember. But the albums are monolithic. They sound very similar. If you want to have a great album experience from beginning to end, with a narrative, with a flow of moods and mood changes, then you better listen to We Are Not Alone. My pleasure. Really one of the best bands we have today in modern rock music, Breaking Benjamin.